Hey guys, welcome to part 10 of the Dragon Ball Z Budokai Let's Play. So we're now entering the Cell game, so we're getting pretty close to the end now. But of course, Goku and Gohan have emerged from the Room of Spirit and Time. Or as this game refers to it, the Time Soul Room. We don't actually get to play as Trunks once again, he just gets kind of finished off in a cutscene. But, so Cell's going to hold a Budo tournament, not a Budokai or anything like that. Pretty nice that Karen and Yajirobe get a nice little model there. Of course, Satan gets a nice little cutscene, showing off how much of an idiot he is as usual. Very nice attention to detail there. The book on the table is the first... Actually, it may not be the first, sorry. I think it might be the third volume of Dragon Ball from the original manga series. But it's either first or third, I can't quite remember it. But yeah, a very, very nice Easter egg anyway. So, skipping over the entire Cell Games period, we are finally here. And we get a very nice recreation of the original anime version of this scene. Okie dokie, so it's time to get started fighting Cell. So we have now gained the Warp Kamehameha, which is a pretty devastating attack if you can manage to pull it off, and it's not too difficult to pull off either. And one of my actual favourite tracks in the game is playing in the background here. Very, very epic track. Actually, I haven't really talked about the music to this game yet. It was done by a composer called Kenji Yamamoto, who you may have heard of. Actually, before we get to that then, Warp Kamehameha. He goes a bit further away than he did in the anime, but it does a devastating 1 full health bar of damage. So very, very useful. But anyway, yes, the music for this game was done by Kenji Yamamoto, who recently, well not recently, a few years ago now, got fired from Toei because they suddenly realised that basically he had been plagiarising bits of music for many years. He kind of took songs, like popular songs, like Pink Floyd songs and things like that, and slightly remixed them. Yeah, he made them into his own thing, but at the same time they were still very easily recognisable as, you know, their original things. So he kind of got found out on that by Toei, and he got fired, and yeah, they had to replace the entire soundtrack for Dragon Ball Kai, which is what he was scoring at the time. But regardless, he did all of the early 3D Dragon Ball games, all the Budokai soundtracks. Actually, because of his unfortunate circumstances, that is also the reason why the Budokai HD collection featured brand new music. But yeah, he did all the original music, and I really, really love these soundtracks. I don't know if any of this music is actually, you know, plagiarized or anything like that. To my knowledge, it's not, because I've never heard anyone compare it to a certain song, but I'm possibly very wrong with that. You just never know with Kenji Yamamoto. But I really, really like this soundtrack. It's really great. And it continues throughout the entire Budokai trilogy. Particularly Budokai 3 soundtrack. That's, like the game itself, Budokai 3 soundtrack is my favourite. But anyway. So we are of course now going to play as Gohan and take on Cell. And this is where it starts to get a little bit annoying, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. When you finally realize what real fear is, you'll already be dead. Okay. I don't know how you can suddenly realize something when you're already dead, but anyway. So Gohan gets a few different techniques, because Teen Gohan is actually a different character from Kid Gohan. Basically, because of his size, Gohan doesn't have much range. And this can be a real pain when fighting Cell, because Cell is actually a rather large character, and he has a lot more range than you do. So the best strategy that I did find is basically kind of ramming him like I'm doing now. And that kind of, you can chain him for a little bit like that and do some damage. The other issue with fighting Perfect Cell is that because he's got the extra reach, he often hits you more than you hit him. And because he's in this form, he does a lot of damage, and it just goes up and up and up as the battles kind of pile on top of each other. And guess what High Speed Hammer is? Of course it's Continuous Kamehameha. Seriously, they were far too unimaginative with that attack. But anyway, we did defeat him. I think I might have died a couple of times to that, I'm not sure. I may be thinking of one of the many, many other Gohan vs. Cell fights that we're about to do.
もうやめようよ。こんな戦い意味がないよ。僕は本当は戦いたくないんだ。殺したくないんだよ。お前みたいなひどいやつでも。僕には分かってきた。
The translation's actually gotten a lot better in the recent couple of parts. It's not too bad actually, which is unusual considering some of the really bad quality we get earlier on. But I don't know, I guess it just must have been a few people and one translator was just really bad.
そんな話を聞いておじけづくとでも思ったのか。やはりガキだな。それどころか。
Now I feel like making you incredibly angry.
なってきたぞ。
Okay, so Mission 9. Nearly to the end. So of course, Cell destroys Android 16, kicks his head away, and of course spawns the Cell Juniors.
16号が破れ、仲間たちも次々と傷ついていくのだった。
やめろ！やめてくれ！
そんこは
人造人間。
正しいことのために戦うのは罪ではない。精神を怒りのままに自由に解放してやる。気持ちはわかるな。もう我慢することはない。
Shut your useless mouth, botch up job. Okay, I take back what I was saying about the translation. Alright, Super Saiyan 2. This is the highest level of Super Saiyan that this game goes to. Because I probably haven't really talked about it yet, but this game doesn't go beyond the Cell story arc. So there's no Majin Buu era stuff, aside from an unlockable Great Saiyaman character. But anyway, so we're going to now be taking on the Cell Juniors, who make a pretty horrible noise. So, like the Cybermen back in the Saiyan arc, we have to fight, I believe it's 5 or 6 of them, and we've got to beat them all without regaining any health. So it can be a little bit tricky, but I didn't have any trouble with it. Actually, there's a few more than I thought, because there's actually a total of 7. Luckily, Super Saiyan 2 is a decent power increase. Not as good as you might think, because of the way this game calculates transformations. From what I understand, we're only doing an extra 20% damage on top of what we normally would. But, you know, regardless, it's good enough. It's, although I guess it is kind of weird it being equivalent to, like, Kaioken times 5. Show off the jackhammer attack. So yeah, this just kind of goes on. There's unfortunately not a whole lot to talk about here, but what I was saying before, though, about they're not, us not going into the Majin Buu arc or anything like that, that's one of the big criticisms about Budokai 1, is that it stops too early. Some of the early Dragon Ball Z games had a reason for this, because the series actually wasn't up to the later stuff yet, or that it wasn't far enough into that stuff. But this game, of course, this is long after the series has ended, so there's really no excuse for it not to be, the full Dragon Ball Z story. Aside from just the size of the game, I guess. They probably weren't too sure about how well the game would go at this time. Dragon Ball's experiencing something of a revival when this game came out, but they still probably weren't entirely sure as to how well it would do. So, I guess they just chose to cut it off at a certain point. It's not too bad a cut-off point. At least it's not cutting it off at, like, Freezer or something. But, yeah, it's still a little bit shortchanging. I do appreciate that they put in the Great Saiyaman character. He's a bit of a pain to unlock. I actually don't have him on this save game. But, he's a nice addition nonetheless. And it's a nice nod to the fact that, they at least remembered that story arc does exist. Okay, so time to take on Perfect Cell. For reals this time. Well, actually, Gohan bluffs. Cell gets serious. Don't drop your guard. But I say for reals this time, and to be honest, it's not really. We still have a few battles to go through before then. Trying to do a grab. This guy got a little bit annoying, but he wasn't too bad. With the extra damage, I found that I was kind of, close to equivalent with what he has. Or dealing close to equivalent to the damage that he was. But still, it ended up being a reasonably close fight. Trying desperately to pull off a Kamehameha, but not having much success with that. Oh, very close. Okay, so down he goes. But that's over the tip of the iceberg as far as Cell fights go. I love Cell's voice actor. So he then transforms into the bulky form, the one which he mocks Trunks for having. But Gohan dodges, of course, gives him a good roundhouse kick, and that leads to some fairly nasty repercussions for Cell. So he vomits up number 18. Well, not exactly his original form, but anyway. So we actually get a full-on Cell bomb form model, which I like how wobbly it is. It's it's a nice little character model. I would love to see someone hack the game and make that like a fighting character. I don't know what happened to his pupil in his, well, from our perspective, left-hand eye.
やっぱどう考えてもこれしか地球が助かる道は思い浮かばなかった。バイバイみんな。ここまでよくやったなご飯。すごかったぞ。父さん、母さんにすまねってついてくる。
Poor old Kaio-sama.
いいカイオ様、ここしかねかったんだ。
Double down! Oh dear. But that is the end of part 10, so thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next part.